You are looking at the content of my chip drawer that's underneath my vintage black lathe. All kinds of junk, failed projects, broken stuff has more or less found a semi-permanent resting place in here. Here's a Banggood collet, and don't let their shininess fool you. They're pretty bad. Here's a wick oiler that I get over there, that I made a couple of years ago. It works, but I find it easier to just shoot some oil into the bearing holes. It's annoying to stop the wick from doing what it does best, and if you forget to stop it, you might end up with an oil spill the next day. There it is. The broken die holder from last week's video. This here was a project for my wood lathe. It's kind of difficult to explain, but I should have some pictures. If I can find them, I will edit them in now. And this here is a broken slitting saw arbor that I'm going to upcycle for this video. Don't you just hate that word, upcycle? It's so hipster-esque and environmentally correct. But don't worry, I'm not going to bother you with the environment. For that there are Swedish toddlers, or Danish, I don't know. I will clean up this saw arbor, stone the taper, and then do some amateur machining. There's a lot of swerve in the drawbar thread. And the taper sustained some damage while this was living in the chip drawer. I will try to clean this a little bit better in my parts cleaner. it took too long with the stone to work this nasty spot down, so using the Dremel was a last resort kind of thing. A couple of low spots is probably not as bad as one high spot that could potentially damage the internal taper of the spindle. New project, new insert. These are the same as I used for turning that pointy bit on the blue lathe, but these have a smaller radius and they are a lot sharper than those blue nano inserts that I have been using lately. I will show you a picture how it held up at the end of the project. Feels pretty clean, but just to be sure, I'm going to push a rag through the spindle. There are a couple of small pieces of swarf on the rag, so it wasn't for nothing. The thread inside the arbor is pretty clean, so I'm also going to use the drawbar just to be sure. I used this slitting saw once, and that was one time too many. The slit was never cut, and I only managed to break the blade and get this completely stuck. There now is a permanent twist here in my Allen key wrench. I did try some heat, but it just wouldn't budge. I think this arbor might have gotten stuck because I placed this washer here behind the saw blade, because the corner here was undercut, or is it overcut? Anyway, they removed too much material and the slitting saw would fall into the corner and sit completely loose. If it was a wider slitting saw, it probably wouldn't have been a problem. I'm not going to try and loosen this up again, because I have a new purpose for this MT3 taper. Hopefully the rest of the bolt will come out once the tension is gone, so I can reuse the thread that's in here. I should be ready to go. Hopefully this isn't too hard. I'm not ready to go. I need to change the belt first. Alright, this time I should be ready. That's pretty soft. The bolt is harder. Excuse me while I go get my safety glasses. Oh, there they are. Usually I have to search the whole place. At some point that broken saw blade might come off flying. Well, it is light and this lathe isn't running that fast, so it shouldn't have a lot of inertia, but it might hurt me, so I better look for a cover behind the top slide. I think it stopped. Yeah, it's loose. Well, the danger is over. Hopefully you can see the undercut or overcut corner in this shot. Hopefully this... oh, it's already loose. That was a surprise. Well, at least the thread is undamaged. Now I'm going to remove this protruding part here. It looks a bit rusty inside here. Maybe that's the reason why it got stuck. Let's hope this next part is just as soft as the previous. Yes, it is. I might need to remove a bit more, but I would like to leave as much of the thread as possible. But first I need to do a little test fitting. For the second time I inserted this bolt, and it looks and feels like there is some sort of gunk in there, but it is coming loose and there is plenty of thread left for what I'm planning to do, but I will have to turn down the OD a little bit, otherwise it's not going to fit. But that will all be done tomorrow evening. But you guys are free to guess what I'm planning to do here. Get stuck again. Maybe I need to run a tab in there. I don't think it will be necessary. I think the hole is deeper than the length of this bolt. The bolt is 25 millimeters long. The hole 35 and a bit. Probably not threaded all the way down. Seems like the throat of the chuck is even smaller than I thought it would be. And if I measured correctly, the back of the chuck will get very close to the front of the spindle nose. So now I have two options. Remove this completely, but then the thread in here gets awfully short. Or I could turn it down to 20 millimeter, so it will fit inside the throat of the chuck. And that's what I'm going to do now. Let's see if the chuck will fit. Damn, some of the chips got into the backing plate of the chuck. bit of WD-40 for some lubrication. Looks like my measurements were correct-ish. I guess I didn't look at it from the correct angle, but a bit more definitely needs to come out. Business as usual, I guess. At least I didn't cut into the spindle. I think that should do it. In case you still don't know what this is going to be, I'm making a chuck backstop, a Brexit inspired chuck backstop. Show the Irish how it is done, and maybe finally make that stupid Brexit thing happen, so we can all move on and find out if it works better for the UK without the European Union. And I hope it does, and then we can all say goodbye to the European Union and the Netherlands, because I'm not a big fan. Just too much layers of government. Whoa. That definitely looks a bit off center, but no worries. I think I can fix it. I hope I can fix it. We'll see if I can fix it. This was a brand new insert, but it already had its last time. I shortened this a bit, and now it should fit. .7. Let's turn down the rest and run a die over there, because I don't feel like single pointing this. Oh, I did flip the insert. The tailstock cannot reach the work. So I'm taking a gamble here. I set the headstock in the lowest gear, and that gives the most resistance to the spindle. I think it is starting to cut. Not enough resistance. Damn. Well, I'll take it out and try to finish this with the workpiece in the vise. I actually started the die on the wrong side. These dies are a bit tapered on both sides. Come on! Damn! It was hard to get the die started again, and I think I cross-threaded the work, but it is what it is. Well, that's kinda embarrassing. I'll hacksaw this off. Try again. Who knows? Maybe that works. I will chamfer this a bit on the grinder and hope for the best. It's not going in. I think the thread here is not long enough. Well, I cannot fix this problem using a die, even using it upside down. I cannot make that thread any longer, so I either have to remove a little bit over here or over there, but that's something for another night, because I'm fed up with this shit show. I decided to remove a bit on the corner here. I prefer that to drilling out a little bit of the internal thread. I think that should be enough. Well, let's take a gamble. That is enough. It's not enough! It is enough, but it needed some convincing to get it seated. I had to use some pliers to get it all the way to the end. A little bit of tailstock support won't hurt. Besides, I gotta drill a hole in there anyway. Just like last week, I'm too close to the tailstock with the top slide, so I have to move the tool bit a little bit. That should do it. Turning rust really messes up your tool bit. Doesn't look great, but it feels rather smooth. For once, a good reason to try out a left-hand tool bit. Why else do I have them? Not a whole lot of room. Something is rubbing here. Let's try a lighter cut. That sounds terrible. I'm going to switch the insert because I think this one is messed up. Same insert as when I started the project, although it did take a tumble on the floor, the concrete floor. Hopefully it's still okay. I'm going to take a lighter pass now, because that previous one might have been a bit ambitious.